How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. Guys, as requested, we're going to revisit the Antoine Massey video that he posted on Instagram. Now, guys, mind you, if you're not familiar with who Antoine Massey is, he is one of the last two that's still out there who escaped from the jail out in Louisiana, New Orleans Parish, I believe is the name of the facility. So me and Russ are going to break down the video. We're going to stop it a few times while we're watching it. We have some key moments that we are going to discuss. One's going to be at the very beginning. So that will be a quick one. And then we have a few times we're going to stop along the way. But before we get into that, Russ, we love these video breakdowns. Do you mind introducing yourself, please?
Of course, Anthony. My name is Russ Hamilton. I am a retired sergeant from California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I'm also a former senior juvenile correctional officer. I currently work for a private company that does work for a county jail and for a county probation department. And I am also the founder of Keepers of Chaos, which is on Facebook. And that's me in a nutshell.
Now, guys, I did have this discussion a couple of days ago with Joe Pangaro. I want to mention something. Even though he went on Instagram and we know all those alerts are going to go up, the IP address, if he was using a Wi-Fi, the geo-tracking, whatever it is, it's also very strategic. It's strategic for a couple of reasons. It's going to increase his network if he gets sympathizers. And he also tries in this video to connect to political causes or social movements. So it's no longer about him, but rather he is the victim of unfair justice, if you will. But Russ, anything you'd like to say on that before we start?
Yeah, this whole thing, it's kind of in my opinion, it's a good attempt in a way. I mean, he's trying to muddy the waters and get the things that he wants, which I think is just some money and some notoriety, and to be that guy on the prison yard once he gets sentenced to prison, because I feel he will eventually. That's just his attempt to make that part of his life better. But most of it's just about muddying the water, in my opinion.
Yeah, and guys, as we said in the last video, when you watch this in its entirety, which we're going to show you at the very end, he basically says when he gets caught. So he knows he's going to get caught. So this is just more about him getting the support he needs before he gets caught. So I don't think this guy, even though always, go with caution. I think this guy, if you get close to him and they starting to get ready to get him, I don't think he's going to be someone that may fight back. I think he's hoping that they're going to get your sympathizers. Then he's going to go in hoping that someone is going to defend him once he's in there. But you still never know. You still never know. So someone could definitely still be dangerous when they're backed into the corner. All right, let me start this video real quick. Let me share it. Here it is. Okay, bear with me.
Massey. I'm one of the ones that was let out of GC.
All right, so that's just I did say I was going to pause it at the very beginning, very first part. Russ, he strategically employs the word let out. Did you see at the very beginning of this video, he's very careful on how he says that. I think this is a very pre-planned attempt, and he's very careful with the words he utilizes, but you'll see later on he starts to conflict a little bit when he starts to get into a rhythm, but he's very strategic with saying the word let out. He pauses, whether that was an intentional effort because he wants to, put a little drama towards it, or rather that was very strategic. But my question on that, Russ, if that's the case, he'll never once mention in this video who let him out. But what's your thought of that, Russ? The words let out.
Yeah, the thing that he basically does is he's trying to not have to, be put in a position of accountability, and or this is just the way he's thinking about it, the way he's thinking through it. And he's kind of, ratting out the fact that, someone helped him do it. We all know who that individual that's alleged to have done that is. And so, and those are the two things, you know, he's trying to minimize and, or he's, you know, actually in a way telling the truth because that's the way he thinks of it. Because someone, you know, came in and was part of, you know, the inside job, however big or small that may be, and did indeed let him out.
And Russ, you're spot on about minimizing. We see that a lot in our world. They will minimize their
A
actions.
lot.
Yeah, a lot because they don't want onus of that, and they figure by minimizing it or downgrading it to just saying simple mistakes, you know, a lot of people aren't going to side with that. And he also realizes that later on too, because this is part of the video. He's going to say mistake, but I think he's definitely been in jail or prison before because he knows that we don't like that word mistake. That doesn't show ownership, so he kind of backs off from that word. But either way, all right, let's play a little more. Here we go.
What I want to talk about today is for as why I was in Orleans Parish Jail. I was in custody for almost 8 months. All right, 6 months, something like that. I was in there for theft of a motor vehicle and domestic abuse involving strangulation. That's what I was in Orleans Parish for. Okay, but before I was in Orleans Parish, I was in a jail called St. Tammany Detention Center. All right, St. Tammany Jail here in St. Tammany Parish. There's two different parishes, Orleans and St. Tammany. Okay, today what I want to talk about is that I was on second-degree kidnapping, second-degree rape, domestic abuse, battery involving strangulation, domestic abuse, battery, violation of protective order, right? On this woman right here, her name is Diamond White. That's her name. This is a district attorney drop form right here. And she's not a child, she's an adult, a full adult. I was dating this woman. This is a legalized affidavit saying all allegations against me is false. All allegations against me is false. I was nowhere around her or none of that during the timing of the date, which was November the 10th of 2024.
All right, so there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up here real quick, if it's all right with you, Russ. So
Yeah.
obviously, he's quick to mention his charges: second-degree assault, second-degree rape. And then he's quick to say she's an adult, because we know in this world, when you get those rape charges, the first thing that people may believe is the sex offense may have something to deal with someone that's under the age. So definitely someone that was quick to jump up and make sure that he mentioned that the allegation was against an adult and then someone he was also dating. And I find also, I mentioned this in the last video, so he's showing the paperwork and he's showing that, you know, basically she dropped the charges. She wrote, I guess, to the district attorney to drop the charges. And then he has to kind of remember the date of the allegation. And to me, that's kind of mind-blowing, because if this is why you're in jail or eventually going to be going to prison, that date should be in your memory, unless this guy's really not that good with dates, because he did mention before that he could have been in jail for 6 or 8 months. So maybe there's another concern, but you figure you would have all this memorized, that, you know, if that was the date, then you would know that, because that's the date your whole case revolves around. But Russ, anything about that paperwork that he's showing?
So, you know, I deal with a lot of guys just like this. You know, to a lesser degree, I sometimes have some interactions with some of the victims and so forth. The fact that he had a dating relationship is immaterial, unless it goes to the point that he's trying to say she's doing this out of some type of vengeance, or she's crazy or whatever. And that may be. I mean, there's a possibility. But it really goes more to the fact that, you know, there's a lot of people that end up in situations like this. You know, what I would say about the other part, about what he's trying to point out and so forth, I don't have a baseline on the guy, but in my opinion, for what it's worth, however small it is here, he's high as hell.
Nice.
I
that could be the
mean, just look at the way, he is. He's having a hard time focusing on what's going. He's been smoking
and the papers are
minimum,
crumpled.
minimum.
Yeah, and the papers are crumpled. You figure if this was a very important thing, why are your papers crumpled? Okay, let's get a little more here. Hold on.
Well, he might have. They might
He might
have.
have,
They might have come out in his back pocket while he was escaping.
oh yeah, he could have had it on him. Okay, hold on. Oh no, Russ, you said escaping. I thought he was let out.
Yeah, he was let out while he was escaping.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Let himself out. Okay, so let's see.
Self-paroled.
So I was in Sympathy, right? And I was on a regular domestic charge, right? So they put a parole hold on me because I was on a domestic charge. So that being said, is that once that occurred, and the charges was refused or whatever, they shipped me to Orleans Parish where I had more open charges, was the theft of a motor vehicle and the domestic abuse, battery, involving strangulation. So once I got in Orleans Parish jail, all right, I have from the district attorney's office, this woman who they say that I initially raped in another parish and in Orleans Parish, the same woman here. It's not different females, it's the same grown woman, not a child, a grown woman. Okay, she did the same thing in Orleans Parish, right? Correct. I'm about to show you how the system is corrupted. Okay, she did this, right? Saying all allegations against me is false. And she even saying it, she let her know the truth that I never did this to her. I never hit her. I was nowhere around her. Nothing. She got mad and thought that I was dealing with another woman. That's why she did what she did to me. You know what I'm saying? Another thing too, once I got into Orleans Parish, I was there for like a month or something like that. Okay, a lot went on as that time progressed. Okay, if you was an innocent person and you know the judges and DA know that this person is saying that all the charges that you're on that you did not do, why was you still in jail? Louisiana have the highest incarceration rate in the world for putting Black people away. Yes, at the end of the day, in my younger life, I'm not gonna lie, I was causing problems. I was young. My daddy got killed when I was 7 years old.
I'm gonna want to rewind this up a little bit, but let's first talk about this for a second. Let me get you back on, Russ. So a couple of things here. Again, he makes sure that he lets people know he's being accused of what would be raping an adult, not a child, which we kind of mentioned that. Now, this is unique because this is where I think it does become a little bit more difficult for law enforcement because now he's trying to grab sympathizers. So what he does is he makes it about social injustice now and about the unfair justice system down in Louisiana. And then eventually he's going to wind up talking about his childhood, which we'll get to there. That's where he starts to play the victim card. But the social injustice part is unique because that's where you connect with people based on the social injustice. Doesn't mean they're connecting with you based on, why you were in the county jail. They're connecting to you based on this common thought that unfortunately the system in Louisiana seems to be biased. And now you start to get sympathizers based on that. And now that becomes a bit difficult for law enforcement because now it has the potential to expand his network. And now he can possibly get protection from people that sympathize. And that protection could include a couple of things. One, actually directly aiding him, or in another way, providing misinformation. But that pool on that social injustice card, is a popular belief right now. So Russ, what's your thoughts on that real quick?
So, yeah, I think he's really trying to leverage to get himself into a better spot where he can, probably maybe get a better lawyer, to blow some of this stuff up. Kind of the spot where he's really fell down, though, is if he really believed that he has such a slam dunk, defense case, why would he go ahead and then, commit this escape and put himself in a worse position? So I think that, it just doesn't make sense. If he believes his own story, if he thinks that other people should believe his own story, if he thinks that his story is, worth telling and getting out there, it really doesn't hold water, in my opinion. There's some facets about, we know that the system, isn't perfect. We know that, bad things happen in the system. But when he just tries the same, tired old, victimhood and race card, and none of that really connects back to anything that went on within the bounds of his case. That's all he's really got. I think that, he's just coming up short time after time in this. But you know what? The Constitution counts for something. And it certainly gives him the right to face his accuser. It gives him the right to due process, and it gives him the right to be, heard in front of a jury. So why isn't he availing himself of that instead of trying to escape those consequences? But let's hear more from him.
Yeah, Russ, I do want to add just one more thing. 100% correct. I mean, I think he's aware because I think this is prepared. I think when he started to prepare when he was going to say this, he was thinking of other arguments. And one of the things is he answers a question like that. He says, why would an innocent person just kind of allow themselves to kind of be locked into that facility? So he's trying to justify his actions. But with that said, he said he was let out. He didn't, I feel when someone says he was let out, you maybe could take it passively, open the door, go through it. It's okay, no problem. Or you were let out and pushed out. But it's funny because the way let out leaves no onus on him. Either the door was open and they told him to leave, or they pushed him out. But let's go back to the video. Here we go.
In my younger life,
well, I want to remind you
I was putting black people. He was an innocent person.
That's the part
where his parents, I was there for like a month or something like that. Okay, a lot went on as that time progressed. Okay, if you was an innocent person and you know the judges and DA know that this person is saying that all the charges that you're on that you did not do, why was you still in jail?
Now, just as me and Rush just said, guys, if you were an innocent person, you would reinforce your ground and defend your case, not go ahead and commit another felony by escaping a secure complex, because that's what it is. Regardless of what he was in there for, innocent or not, he broke out of a secured facility. That in itself is a crime. And then not only that, 9 other people went with him. So if he tends to be the head of this all, he helped the escape of 9 other individuals beside himself. So it just looks innocent or not. It's just not something you would do. You would go ahead and defend your position.
Louisiana have the highest incarceration rate in the world for putting black people away. Yes. At the end of the day, in my younger life, I'm not gonna lie, I was causing problems. I was young. My daddy got killed when I was 7 years old. My mom had to raise 4 children by herself, so I had to find a way to try to help my mother. You feel what I'm saying? But as time went on, the person that I once was, I'm not that person today. That is not who I am. I have a 3-year-old son. I have an 18-year-old daughter that graduated yesterday, supposed to be. At the end of the day, that people don't understand that they see that I'm armed and dangerous. I have a heart. People that know me know that at the end of the day, I am a good person.
All right, so I got something here, Russ, if I may, and then love to get your thoughts on it. So out of curiosity, he now starts to go into the victim side. And sometimes when people lie, they may admit to small truths in an effort to build some level of credibility. So he jumps into who he was. And at first you'd think he's going to take onus to even that part, and he doesn't, because then he shifts to what happened to his father at an early age and having to do these things to help his mother. But the funny thing is, some of these crimes, rape, aggravated assault. I don't know how that helps your mom in that situation, but either way, then he also tries to play another sympathy card. So even if the idea of the bias system doesn't work, I'm a father. I want to get to my children. We don't want my children to be without a father. So now you don't look at it from his perspective. You may look at it now from the children's perspective. I mean, how many times in our career, Russ, when you go to hold an inmate accountable and maybe the consequence is taking away a visit for that week, and they may come back up and say, hey, I'm going to go see my kids this week, and unfortunately now I can't because you charged me. And, how does that make you feel knowing that I'm not going to be able to see my kids this weekend because you charged me? And it's like, that's your fault that I charged you. My job is to hold you accountable, but it's your fault that you got charged. But there's a lot of cards he's playing here. What's your thoughts, Russ?
Yeah, I reach back to what I said before. Is trying to muddy the waters. He's trying to bootstrap empathy. Is basically what he's doing because I think that some of us, hey, well, I'm a father too, and so that's what he's doing. He's bootstrapping empathy and trying to put people into a position where they can understand how he might see it more differently. The things that's completely devoid from that, though, is he's not talking about all of the other things that led him up to this. And the thing that I'll get back to over and over again, of course, is the fact that this is just not a good play. I mean, think about all those other 9 people that broke out with him. What if they had done something horrible? What if he had ends up being charged as accomplice? Probably not now because there's enough distance between them. But there certainly could be some ire attached from a jury if some of those people had done way more than they did, which at this point they haven't. But he doesn't have any way of knowing that. And so he's just going with the flow. It's pretty typical. He's going with what he knows in the moment. And, it doesn't appear that he's devoted very much of his time to try and do actual things that are pro-social and proactive and, put him back on the path towards, becoming a functioning member of society. Instead, he's gone the opposite direction and he's made it worse.
Yeah, great point, Russ. And guys, again, if I know sometimes we use some correctional terminology, Russ, you said bootstraps or strap your boots on it. What does that exactly mean for our audience on the outside?
Oh, okay. No, I would say that's not necessarily a correctional thing. But bootstrap means to take and try and put two things together that don't really, work together. It's trying to, get from A to Z without having to go through B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth.
All right, so maybe it was me then. Okay, so let's get a little more of the video going. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Get it full screen.
So I'm asking for help from the world, from Meek Mills, Lil Wayne, Young Boy, Donald Trump. I'm asking for these people. I couldn't even get a lawyer. I couldn't even afford a lawyer to prove my innocence while I was in Orleans Parish jail. They said that I broke out. I didn't break out. I was let out. My name is Antoine Massey. The guy who said that I threatened him with a shank, the maintenance guy, how could I threaten you with a shank? If you can't come around me, you're a maintenance. You cannot come on the tills without a deputy being behind you.
Okay, wait, I want to actually rewind it back a little bit because there's something else here that I want to discuss real quick. Hold on, Russ. This is important.
So I'm asking for help from the world, from Meek Mills, Lil Wayne, Young Boy, Donald Trump. I'm asking for these people. I couldn't even get a lawyer. I couldn't even afford a lawyer to prove my innocence while I was in Orleans Parish jail.
Okay, so Russ, real quick here. Let me get us back. So now this is where it is interesting because now he's drawn the sympathy based on the bias system. Can't get a lawyer. And also, it's funny because when he said he did things to help his mom, he never exactly said as what he did. I just thought of that again. Just talked about that before. I just wanted to put that out there. But for this case here, this becomes a bit difficult because now he's reaching a bigger crowd. This is a chance now where he's targeting people. Now, sometimes when you target people, it's harder for those people to defer responsibility. Where if I said, hey, I need help, someone help me, and there's really no name, it's kind of like the bystander effect. Okay, no name. That could be anybody. So I could step away. But when he starts pointing at people like I need this person, or later on at the end of the video, I think he talks about Little Wayne. That's a great effort to pull somebody in and try to share or try to push some level of responsibility, because now it gets their attention and it's harder for them to defer that responsibility. And again, if you guys are not familiar with the bystander effect, it's the Kitty Genovese story. She unfortunately was sexually assaulted, and all these bystanders were watching, and she was calling for help, and no one ran because they just were confused at the time because nobody else was running up. And they said basically, had she said just something as simple as, because I believe she passed in that incident, don't quote me, but I believe she did not survive that. If she would have said something as simple as, hey, you with the red shirt, or you with the blue shirt, or you with the hat, and pointed to someone, now they can't defer responsibility. Now they feel the push to act, where I think this does this too. If you've got a generalized movement, and now it's like, well, I need everyone's help. But now it's like everyone's help. Well, he didn't call for me. But now it's like, well, but I need you. And he starts dropping their names. That could be a bit of a push. I think that's a very strategic move. What's your thoughts on that, Russ?
No, I think that the move could have been a lot better. I think that if he had been less intent on naming people and trying to put it out there, if he had just said, anyone, everyone, help me, I need some money for a lawyer, I think that it would have gone a long ways. Instead, what he did was he started naming people as if he expects those specific people who are well known to come and help him. But when you do that, because they're well known, well, they can't go help everybody. That's something that they're used to. They're used to people appealing to them and having to say, "Hey, look, I give one little bit, and then everyone's going to be after me on this." So I don't think it was a good strategy. I think that if he had tried to get some funds for a lawyer, that might have been better. I think that ultimately the real smart move would have been not to get involved in this at all. But you know what? He's one of these, inmates, probably, in my opinion. I can't say that I don't know him personally, but the idea behind just being so easily persuaded, and just so in the realm of the moment, they just decide, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to engage in this activity. And I'm just going to do it because I'm not used to stopping myself from doing things that are harmful, like rape or battery or whatever else. And so I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, and guys, sometimes when they go for this public outcry, whatever it is, or they're screaming out to the public, it does bring attention. Right. But also they have attention on them already. So sometimes these organizations that, it's not even about the person being right or wrong. Sometimes people help them because they want attention being brought back into the organization. So this guy put himself in the limelight, and there could be people that may want to help him because they may want to have or share in some of this. I don't know if you want to say infamy, but share in some of the fame, the light that's being shined on this guy. All right. So let's do the next part. Here we go.
They said that I broke out. I didn't break out. I was let out. My name is Antoine Massey. The guy who said that I threatened him with a shank, the maintenance guy, how could I threaten you with a shank? If you can't come around me, you're a maintenance. You cannot come on the tills without a deputy being behind you. Because if they just let you on the till, you could be persuaded to bring drugs or anything like that nature. So how can I threaten you to jail you? And why you didn't notify the people, the police, that if I did threaten you, You never did that. Like, you flat out lied on me. Sterling flat out lied on me. And I want to let the media know that from the straight tattoos in my face and things of that nature, of course they're going to believe Sterling. You know what I'm saying? I never told Sterling nothing. I'm willing to take a lie detector test and everything behind that. But that's another subject.
All right, so I got a couple of things for this one. So, Russ, okay, so we're dealing with, now he's going to cross into Sterling. He definitely says that he didn't break out. He was let out. Okay, but again, still not telling us how he was let out. Now, this facility was a facility that was understaffed, and it was already noted that the officers were not touring the floor like they should have. So now, granted, even if that was policy, they weren't doing it. Maybe because they were understaffed. So even though he says, well, how could I have threatened you with a weapon? You know, you're not even supposed to be around me when officers are not there. Well, that's truthful. I mean, yeah, he's not supposed to be around you, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Sadly, practice is a lot different than policy, and he's leaning on policy right now when we have a belief that policy wasn't really being played out at that facility, or at least the way it should be. So when he says, again, how could I have threatened you or whatever it is, you probably could have threatened him because you probably interacted with him on the floor because there was no officer touring the unit. So I think that's interesting. And then also, he never says, if you play it out, he never says he didn't threaten him. He alludes, maybe to some extent, for someone watching it may think, well, he didn't threaten him. Look, he said all this. Well, he never said he didn't. And I just want to play this little part again real quick, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Russ. But if you listen to him again, he never says he didn't. He puts it on policy, puts it situationally, but never says he didn't. So it's interesting.
You cannot come on the tails. Why I was in Orleans Parish jail. They said that I broke out. I didn't break out. I was let out. My name is Antoine Massey. The guy who said that I threatened him with a shank, the maintenance guy, how could I threaten you with a shank? If you can't come around me, you're a maintenance. You cannot come on the tails without a deputy being behind you. Because if they just let you on the tail, you could be persuaded to bring drugs or anything like that nature. So how can I threaten you to kill you? And why you didn't notify the people, the police, that if I did threaten you, you never did that. Like, you flat out lied on me. Sterling flat out lied on me. And I want to let the media know.
And real quick, guys, you notice something real quick, though? When he says he actually may have admitted a truth here. If you look at this last part, he tells them you never did that.
Police, that if I did threaten you, you never did that.
Let me back up one more.
So how can I threaten you to kill you? And why you didn't notify the people, the police, that if I did threaten you, you never did that? Like, you flat out lied on me. Sterling flat out lied on me.
Yeah, Russ.
Okay, so I'll say that in my opinion, I think this is the part where he's being the most truthful. Because I don't see that I don't see that guy. See how many counts did they miss or whatever, and so if he was there and just in that one moment, he can't threaten him anymore once he's gone, unless the guy is believing he's going to come to his house or something. Why didn't the guy immediately get involved, except for the fact that he's guilty for actually letting them out? And I think that's that's what happened. I think that this guy was in cahoots. But that's just my take on it. And I think that at this point he's actually being, perhaps the most honest that he's been so far.
Yeah, I definitely think he's in cahoots. But I'm curious to see, like, the approach. Like, basically what he's trying to say is that he didn't initiate it. Like, he didn't tell him to shut off the water. Like, basically he's trying to remember he was let out, Russ. He didn't escape. So yeah. This interaction would have been more planned, would have been more he was let out or that he wasn't let out. He escaped. So I think, to be honest with you, I think there was an interaction here that motivated. I don't know how. Could have been money. Who knows? I don't know. But that motivated this the Sterling guy, to maybe go ahead and turn off the water and make the escape a bit easier, because this guy never denied in that little section there. He never denied that he didn't approach him. He never denied that he didn't talk to him. He just makes us think he said it, but he never said it. And then he kind of leans to that one thing, like, well, why didn't you report it? So as if maybe something did happen and that he messed up by not reporting it. So I'm very curious about this. I'm very curious if they can.
Well, I think that's Sterling covering for his own ass, though, because that was hours later. That was hours later, and all of a sudden, he forced me. So
well, and that's what we got to see. Because to be honest with you, I don't believe maintenance and inmates should be talking directly anyway. I mean, I know there's details, but you should have that safety and security aspect. So, like, basically, I don't know if back in how this facility works, maybe they're so used to not having an officer present that the maintenance could be doing their own routine tours, checking the units, making sure everything's okay, and they probably go directly to the inmates. And maybe the guy could have convinced them to turn off the water, or maybe he bribed them to turn off the water. But I believe that there are interactions with him in maintenance, and I would love to see that come out, because this guy never denies not talking to maintenance. He doesn't. So I would love to see if you could see that interaction, and then maybe if they see that interaction, because I think here's the other thing, Russ. I believe the interaction occurred because if I was Sterling, and let's say there's cameras, so that you're going to see him communicating. Sterling, if he was lying, let's just say his first lie is what? I was threatened, because he knows that on the cameras, they're going to show that there was an interaction there. He didn't say, I never talked to the guy. He didn't say, we never communicated. No, he said, I was threatened. And I think that maybe either because he could have been, maybe, or he knows there's an interaction that could easily be seen on camera. Like you said, Russ, maybe he is a bit corrupt, that you could see on camera. So he can't deny not talking to him, but maybe he could paint a narrative as to what was being said if there is an interaction caught on camera.
But he's also maintenance. He knows which cameras are operating and which cameras aren't, and whether some cameras are operating and also not recording.
Yeah, because how do we know this wasn't all pre-planned? How do we know Massey didn't say, hey, listen, we're going to go, and if the shit hits the fan, just tell them I threatened you?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, you're right. So, but I know he didn't outright say that the interaction didn't happen. He just says, because he knows it's going to be somewhere, he said, I was threatened. So if I was investigating this, I would know right off the bat that there definitely was an interaction, because the maintenance guy knows that there's an interaction that probably was caught on camera. But now it's funny, because now if you look back at Antoine Massey, well, how could I have communicated with you and all this other stuff? And then when they look at the cameras and they see there was an interaction, now we know that Antoine Massey is not being as truthful, because there was an interaction, because he just said, he gave us an absolute here. They can't talk to maintenance unless there's an officer behind them. So did you talk to maintenance or did you not talk to maintenance? Because he still hasn't answered that. All right, let's go to the next part. It's interesting. All right, hold on.
And I want to let the media know that from the straight tattoos in my face and things of that nature, of course they're going to believe Sterling. You know what I'm saying? I never told Sterling nothing. I'm willing to take a lie detector test and everything behind that. But that's another subject. Orleans Parish is one of the corruptedest jails. That and St. Tammany Parish is the corruptedest jails in the state of Louisiana.
I got to add one more thing, Russ. I'm sure you know this before. So when you lack credibility, or you believe your own story lacks credibility, sometimes you pull in third party or some level of resource that helps, gives you credibility, or tries to lend you credibility. Like automatically when he's telling this story, he feels the need to say, hey, I'll take a lie detector test, but enough about that. I think he pulls in the lie detector to kind of solidify whatever story he's trying to say to gain credibility. So people on the outside are like, wow, he's willing to take a lie detector test. But then he pulled away from that really quick. He pulled away from that very quickly. If you notice that, he mentions it and then pulls away from it. All right, here, hold on. Let me, well, any thoughts on that first, Russ, before I play this?
Yeah, I just say, he probably is, not really informed about, what a lie detector test can or can't do for you. It's not going to be admissible. I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to pay for it out of pocket himself to say what? To say that he failed it. And let's say he goes ahead and he manages to beat it. But they still have overwhelming evidence against him for breaking out.
All right, let's go back to the video.
Tattoos in my face and things of that nature. Of course, they're gonna believe Sterling. And I'm saying I never told Sterling nothing. I'm willing to take a lie detector test and everything behind that, but that's another subject.
And obviously, Russ, he does say because he has these tattoos, he's going to be judged, and Sterling won't be judged. Okay, so hold on.
East Parish is one of the corruptest jails. That in St. Tammany Parish is the corruptest jails in the state of Louisiana. Why was I even incarcerated with a woman saying that this never happened? This is this woman's name. This is the charge, domestic abuse discrimination. This is about the shit in St. Tammany. Why was I in Orleans Parish? Why was I even in jail? That's what I'm trying to show y'all. That's why I left the jail. And they have a lot more brothers that's innocent, just like me, that's trying to prove they're innocent. That's why they ran. Jason Williams, the sheriff, Susan Hudson, these people are corrupted. These people was talking to St. Tammany and telling St. Tammany they're going to sentence me behind this. And telling St. Tammany if they can't give me, St. Tammany going to give me.
Now this is interesting, Russ, because so now he goes back into the social movement. Basically, this is why the other inmates, they ran as well, is because I guess they're all innocent at this point. And now he's just pulling again for the support. He's pulling again for the sympathy. But now it's they ran. So everybody is obviously in agreement that after he was let out or he broke out, whatever it was, he still knew they all still knew they were doing something wrong because they ran. What are you running from? Out of curiosity, that's a good question. Like, what are they running from? So if they're running from something. What are they running from? And it's like now all 10 of these inmates that escape, it's like a social movement here or some type of aggressive protest, technically. Like all 10 of them ran to, create a message that of the social injustice in Louisiana. Would you agree? Does that sound a little correct, Russ? Or
Yeah, I mean that's where you can certainly expect for him to go with respect to what he's trying to put out there. This is the same kind of thing that we hear all the time. I'm never going to go to the point where I say that the system is perfect or that it doesn't make mistakes or there aren't issues within issues inside of there. But the thing that he's doing is just, an attempt to minimize. It's an attempt to justify. And then in the end, he's just made things worse. So, I don't have a whole lot of belief in the story that he's trying to put forth because it just doesn't scale up. I think it would just be a whole lot easier if he said, hey, I just was in a position where, I just acted impulsively. I just jumped at the chance. And the next thing I knew, I was already out on the street and didn't know what else to do, don't know how to get back. But instead, he just doubles down and doubles down and doubles down and doubles down. And now everybody has to be in the wrong except for him. And that is almost certainly not the case, for whatever that's worth.
No, I agree with that 100%. I do. All right, let me get to the next part.
You see what I'm saying? Behind a woman that's a grown adult that never stated that I ever raped her. They have a detective that's over the case that's trying to pursue charges on me because of my prior history. Who I was in the past is not who I am today. So I'm asking for the media. I don't even have a lawyer to help me. I'm asking for help. That's why I ran. You feel me? I'm a grown man. I have kids. I have a mother. I have a baby mother, a child, my children mother. Like it's a lot going on. And that's why I ran. I need help. You feel what I'm saying? Orleans Parish and St. Tammany is one of the corruptest parishes in the world. And I'm asking for help. It's a lot of corruption, killings, all type of stuff going on, and they covering it up. They don't care about nothing in the state of Louisiana. This is something that needs to go under a federal investigation. What's going on? How they handling cases? Why Antoine Massey was in jail if the woman, the victim, the grown woman, not a child, the grown woman.
I just want to mention something too. So, Russ, love to get your thoughts on this. So, one, I love how he keeps on going back and saying it's a grown woman. It's not a child. It's a grown woman. It's not a child. So maybe some, I don't know if that's even guilt, but just he has to always clarify. And we talked about maybe why. And also, I think he likes to attack the system because it shifts the balance of credibility. So I know where I stand, how I'm possibly seen. So let me bastardize the party that is coming out to come get me, to come bring me back in. Let me attack their credibility so people can start believing me and my circumstances. But some of the attack is to balance out or override the credibility of the agency, correct? Or the county.
Yeah, and I'm also not sold on this is the only reason he was in there, and she had filed an affidavit or whatever. Well, he's just holding it up. We don't know what the dates on that were. We don't know if that was something that was originally started out that way, and that there could be. I'm not saying that there is, but there could be other charges that revolve around what the affidavit's doing. He's not talking about, maybe some of this could be, some stale warrants that he's got going on, because that's what happens, believe it or not, inside the system. But the main thing is he just keeps, running away from the fact that he was in there for some reason. And he keeps harping on the fact that he does not have a lawyer. Well, I want to know why. Have they not assigned him a public defender? Have they signed him a public defender and he refused it? He might truly be in some kind of limbo with regard to that. But it's just, it falls flat, I think, as an excuse, because at some point they're going to get to him and they are going to be able to, get him a public defender, and he's going to be able to go on with it. But now he's interrupted that process. Now the process has been made worse. He has interfered with his own due process.
And the funny thing is, if you couldn't get a lawyer, which I got to figure out how that works, and they should have a lawyer, obviously. If they can afford one, you get one. But now you got to get a lawyer to represent you on the jail on the escape. Okay, so hold on. Let's wrap this up. I'm starting to wrap up. I think he hit Sterling up again.
It stated that he never raped her. He never beat her. She was nowhere in her presence. This is the affidavits on the date right here. This is the drop form from the district attorney office. This woman went did this. I didn't do this. Look, it's legally paid. So I'm asking, please, for help. Young boy, Meat Mills, people, LBL. You know what I'm saying? People that been through the system that know it's corrupt. Lil Wayne, Donald Trump, please, I'm asking for help. You know what I'm saying? When I get back in custody, I'm asking y'all, please, to come help. You feel what I'm saying? I'm asking the world. I'm letting y'all know I'm not a raping man. I'm not none of that. None of that. I'm a good person. I am a father that want to be in my children's life. You know what I'm saying? I want to let the younger youth know that going down the route of trying to be a street person is not the route. That's what type of person I am.
Hey, Rush, you notice this is what I was talking about before. He does say when I go back in custody. So he knows he's going to get picked up. And I think what he's trying to do now is, give him a bit of support before he goes in. That's why I don't think, again, guys, always treat things with universal precaution. You guys are the experts on that. But I do think when they come get him, he is going to be a little bit easier to get in. Not saying, always be careful, but he's going to turn himself in because he's going to hope that what he did now brought attention to what his cause is. So basically he's going to be, I don't want to say a martyr. He's not a martyr, but basically he's going to be the person that leads this social movement, because he even does another thing. When he's calling out for the famous individuals, he tries to connect with them on situational conditions. Like, I know you've been through the system. You've been through some social injustice as well. So, you could relate to me. So come help me because you have the means to help me technically. But any thoughts on that, Russ, before we move forward?
Yeah, I would only say it to the point that this is exactly what I would expect to see from someone in his situation that's trying to make a play. I think that he may have been under the impression that someone was just going to simply set up some kind of GoFundMe or something, but it's you can't do that because GoFundMe has rules about who's eligible for that type of thing, and so he may have originally thought that something like that was going to happen. So now what he's done is he's moved the goal posts, and he's trying to appeal to specific individuals, hoping that someone will step forth and hire him a lawyer, or intercede on his behalf, which that's not going to happen. But I think that's what you see here. There's a gradient of diminishing expectations. Yeah, I like that. A gradient of diminishing expectations.
Yeah, I like that too, actually. All right, let's get this stopped it a few times, actually. Okay, hold on.
Yes, I was lied on. They made certain lie on me. All the guys, they picked me for him to lie on. I'm not saying Sterling a bad guy, but why did you pick me to lie on, bro? It's bigger than Sterling. I don't know why they picked me for him to lie on, but I never threatened Sterling ever. How could I threaten Sterling or hurt Sterling? He cannot come on a tip with me without a deputy being present. My name is Antoine Massey.
Same argument.
I was one of the ones that was let out Orleans Parish jail on May the 16th or May the 15th, 2025. So please, Meek Mills, Donald Trump, Lil Wayne, please help me. Lil Wayne, this is Big Antoine's son that's talking right now. I'm Lil Antoine. I was in your mama wedding when she married Rabbit. I was the ring boy, Lil Wayne. Please help me, bro.
All right, so that's the end of the video. Hey, Russ, obviously there's that final plea. Then he's calling people out, and then he tries to build a little bit of a closer connect with Lil Wayne, who I'm hearing at this time can't even remember his own music, let alone remember connections that maybe he've had years ago. I'm hearing Lil Wayne's having trouble remembering his own lyrics to his music. Hey, Russ, anything you'd like to say in closing to wrap it up?
Yeah, I know that he's never going to hear you and I, but the truth of the matter here is that the thing that would help him would be to be held accountable, to hold himself accountable, and to quit trying to blame things, on the system. One of the first things that I do with the participants in the program I'm currently running is to see where they're at with regards to the story that they tell me about themselves, in which I do not allow them to say, oh, I can blame all of this, on my probation officer. I can blame it on the system. I can blame it on the jail. I can blame it on Deputy Smith. And that's the thing that I hear time and time. And we can never go beyond that first step until they take that accountability upon themselves. And so what you're seeing here is a person who is not stepping up, who is not holding themselves accountable, who is not willing to be held accountable, because the first step for this guy right here is to turn himself in. Once he does that, if he's willing to continue accepting responsibility, then he can move forward. But there's no moving forward from this in his current mental state right now.
Yep, I agree. And guys, this is again just, it's just a perspective. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and share it if you feel it's worth sharing. As always, guys, the show is Tear Up. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. Bell's going to notify every time I post a video. Stay safe.